Hello and welcome to episode 198 and the first episode of the new year. Happy New Year, everybody. Of Sutton and Back Family Style. I'm Jason.
And I'm Bill, and for anybody that I said that I was doubting Ohio State to be in the playoffs, I was wrong, and I apologize.
Yeah.
Because they look like the best team in the playoffs. And, Alabama, you can throw on Alabama, and if he has that kind of game against Alabama, that's going to be one hell of a game.
It is. It definitely is.
But, he would take a lot of criticism. I think we talked about the show that, maybe his draft stock was dropping and, yada, yada, yada. And he was having some tough struggles. And he came out, he was a world beater. You could argue that maybe he should not one pick in the draft.
Well, according to Ryan Shazier, former Steeler, he had both those kids at a camp. He was at a camp with Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. And he said Justin Fields is the better quarterback. So Ryan Shazier is supportive of Justin Fields. But I think any hesitation on Ohio State, the Big Ten, the Big Ten, has been a little bit overrated over the past few years, I think, fairly to say, when they've got to bowl games. And then they played a really short schedule, and they struggled against Northwestern, who was a really good team. But, I think any hesitation to put them in or fear that, they didn't play a big enough schedule, I think was fair.
Yeah, and I think definitely just that he didn't rank any teams that didn't play 10 games in his top 10.
Yes.
But, he took his medicine. They got stomped. It wasn't even a close game.
No, it was.
No way. I was shocked because that Brent Venables usually has an amazing defense. And it's like they know the plays and they make some. They control the game. They were not in control of that game at all.
No.
And Ohio State making a game play with those tight ends who hadn't done anything. They had 3 touchdowns between the tight ends. It was very, very impressive. The coaching, the preparation, the execution. I was blown away.
Yeah, they looked phenomenal. And, if you had any doubts before, they clearly earned it by beating Clemson. Although Clemson was not the dominant team, that they've been in the past. They did, lose to Notre Dame earlier in the year without Trevor Lawrence. So we'll see. Alabama's still Alabama. Yeah.
That was a representative score. But speed-wise, there was no comparison between the two teams.
No.
And that's what kills. Speed kills.
Well, they say you can't teach speed and size, And Alabama has both of those, and Notre Dame just doesn't get those guys.
No, they don't.
Or
I think this could be a really good finals matchup. We'll have to see, but as of right now, I'm thinking it could be a really, really good game. Much better than I thought it was going to. Any matchups would be. I thought Alabama would beat whoever was there. But if Ohio State plays like they played, they could win.
Yeah, I would love to see just a, 51-48 shootout is what I'm rooting for at this point.
I would.
I love defense, obviously, but, come from Pittsburgh. But I would like to see just a shootout. Both these quarterbacks just blow up and go off and just offense everywhere. Because I don't know how you stop those Alabama receivers. And, Mac Jones has been completing passes all over the field, so.
No, it's going to be. I think it could be a shootout. I'm hoping it is. I agree with you. I think that could be something special.
Because Justin,
I can't see Alabama stopping what I saw the other night.
No.
And I can't see anybody dealing with Quanti Smith.
No.
He's ridiculous.
And you have Jalen Watt on the other side. Like, both those guys are just incredible. They're probably both going to be top 15 picks in the NFL draft. So. And Mac Jones is probably going to go. You figure your quarterback and your 2 receivers are going in the top 20. And I'm sure they have an offensive lineman plus the running back. They've got first-round picks all over the board. And so does Ohio State, so.
So that'll be fun when we get close to the draft, talk about that.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see, too, if Justin Fields balls out again. It shouldn't matter as much as it does, but maybe that has a lot to do with the Jets' decision at number 2.
Well, you know what? The Jets will have a lot of people come calling now.
Yeah.
Maybe would come calling before. So I think there's going to be a lot of interest in the number 2 pick, whether the Jets keep it or willing to trade it. So I think that the way he played definitely was beneficial to the Jets, no question.
Yes. And the Jets are a team that did not make the playoffs.
No, they didn't.
They locked up that number 2 spot in the draft, but we had a lot of really good playoff implicate. We know our playoff matchups now.
We know them all but one, and Washington is up 7-0 as we speak.
Yeah.
They scored in their first possession.
And
Alex, like I said, I'm rooting for Alex Smith as the comeback player of the year. It's a really good feel-good story.
I think when you look at what he came back from, if you renamed it the Alex Smith Comeback Player of the Year award, that would be fine.
Yeah, I mean, that was the same injury pretty much that Joe Theismann had.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the brace he tweeted out today with his old brace that he'd wear for the year. You watch the documentary and they talk about having to maybe lose his leg and at the very least never walk again. And he's, competing for a playoff spot with the Washington professional football team right now. And everyone else on that roster is a very young dude.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Washington professional football team while we're here, they just cut Dwayne Haskins.
They did. They just gave up, and I think that a lot of it was attitudinal.
Yeah. So you've spent...
Not a lot is said about him as a teammate or as him as a student of the game.
No. So 3 years ago, they spent the number 7 overall pick on him, correct? If I remember correctly. Or 2 years ago. And I know you have the...
I think it was like 15 when he...
Oh, was he 15? Okay. He was top 20 pick, for sure.
I think between 10 and 15, but he was in top half of the first round.
Yeah. And it's always telling when somebody gets cut and you don't hear a lot of rumbling from the team. There wasn't a lot of, my boy Dwayne got played. There was none of that. It was just, okay, he's gone.
No, and nobody has bothered to pick him up either. I mean, he went all through waivers, and you'd have thought somebody would take a flyer on him and put him on their practice squad and be able to work him out and take a look at him.
Yeah.
So that struck me as just funny as well. But tomorrow we know what tomorrow's going to be. With some great playoff matchups. And tomorrow is National Coaches Sparring Day. As usual.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Doug Peterson is going to keep his job. I know there's some rumblings with the Carson Wentz stuff, and then, you look at where Frank Reich is now, and Frank Reich looks like maybe he was the guy behind the Eagles Super Bowl win, and less so with Doug Peterson and the coach's decisions he made. But, you win a Super Bowl, you probably get a little, whether you're the man behind it or
you get a pass for a while.
You get a pass for a while. I know Anthony Lynn in San Diego, not San Diego, the other Los Angeles football team, the Los Angeles Chargers. I know he's a guy that apparently the players love, but you look at some of the decisions he makes as a football coach, and they're not very good. So he'll be an interesting one too, I think, as far as the obvious guys. Gase is out in New York for sure. And I think if you're the Jets, you have to do that,
And the rumor is that Urban Meyer is going to be in Jacksonville with the new quarterback.
Yeah. Which is interesting.
Very interesting.
But you've got some decent receivers down there. You got an owner with a lot of money. Not that you mean football is about, every owner has a lot of money, but, I think an owner that's willing to really...
It's a team that's never really caught on.
No.
But now you're getting the number 1 pick and you're getting Urban Meyer. You might think they might sell a bunch of tickets to get a bunch of people excited about Jacksonville.
Yeah. Because they had their run with, who was it, Mark Brunell and Maurice Jones-Drew, where they were a decent playoff team for a couple years. But yeah, they haven't stuck as like, we're the team. But if you had Trevor Lawrence, the best prospect, or maybe, who knows, maybe Justin Fields. Who knows what Urban Meyer wants in a quarterback?
Yeah, maybe. You never know.
Because Urban Meyer obviously has some connection to Ohio State. He's going to watch these guys the whole time, and maybe he likes what he sees with Justin Fields and sees what he can do, and that becomes his guy. Not that Trevor Lawrence can move as well, so it's not like he's a stiff as far as running the ball, but it'll be interesting to see.
It'll be very interesting. So there'll be some firings, as usual. Maybe some unexpected ones we don't even know are going to happen. But we can say for the first time with great certainty that the Cleveland Browns will not be firing the coach this year.
No, that guy did a really nice job.
He did.
Because I still don't know if Baker's a good quarterback or not. But he got that team to double-digit wins, and they're in the playoffs. And they will be playing the same team they played today, our favorite team on the podcast, the Steelers, in Pittsburgh.
The varsity Steelers.
The varsity Steelers. Because the Steelers, not only did they not play everybody, but Roethlisberger, Watt, Hayward, Pouncey didn't even travel. They didn't even go to Cleveland for the game. They wanted to keep them home, rested, safe, away from COVID, ready to go next week. So we can start right there. I think the Steelers win this game. And I think they win it pretty handily.
I think the Steelers win the game as well.
I mean, it is a division game, and it's the third time they're playing this year, but
I think the first round winners in the AFC are going to be the Steelers, the Bills,
obviously,
and the Ravens.
See, I got to go. I like the Titans in that matchup.
Yeah, I don't know. Face defense.
No, but Lamar Jackson just doesn't seem to play well in big games so far. I know that's the media knock on him, but I mean that you look at the numbers; they're there. I think if they can get Derrick Henry going,
Well, they beat him last year.
They beat him last year. I think Vrabel's the better coach of the two. I think quarterback. I think long term, I think Lamar is the better quarterback, but right now I think it's a wash. Tannehill puts up some incredible stats. I think you've got Corey Davis and Brown are pretty good receivers, and Derrick Henry rushed for 2,000 yards this year, and just looks like a man playing with children on a park half the time when he's out there. He's just so big and so fast. I could see them just get at home. I know we don't have the home field advantage per normal, but you sleep in your own bed, you're not traveling, all those good things. And I think they're going to pull off that win.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go. Like I said, I'm going to go with the Ravens. They're a hot team right now. They got to win all those games, and they've won them.
They have.
So then the next week, I'm going to go with Buffalo and the Chiefs advancing, and then the Chiefs and Buffalo. And I guess I'm going to pick Buffalo. I'm going to go with flavor of the day.
I am also picking Buffalo. And we talked about this a little bit offline, but the Chiefs have not really dominated like they used to in the past. Now, I don't know if they're bored and they can flip the switch whenever they want, because I know they have that amazing... They got Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, the list goes on and on. But the Bills have just been dominant. They're hanging 50. They're beating bad teams by 50. They're just running the score up. And you look at some of the losses when people were sort of against them. They lost the monsoon game, which is, if you play in just that insane amount of rain, I think you can kind of throw it out the window from time to time. Like, it just gets sloppy. And then they had a COVID game. And, we all live in the COVID world and know that, you miss a few players, schedule gets screwed up, like, things change. And I think other than that, they've just been absolutely dominant. Stephon Diggs is arguably the best receiver in football. And Josh Allen just looks, he looks like he's right in that next tier. I think you got to put him in that first tier with, Mahomes, Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and, maybe Josh Allen right there. And, of course, they're hungry. They've never won.
Over the NFC. So you got the Green Bay Packers 7-5.
Yes.
Which means the Saints are going to play the Bears, I would guess,
Yeah, and I would pick the Saints over the Bears.
I would pick the Saints.
And then Tampa Bay is going to get...
The Seahawks will play... Who's the other wild card?
Well, it's Tampa and Washington would be the other two, yeah.
The Seahawks will play Tampa because Washington gets out here.
Yeah, that's true.
No, Washington will play Tampa. It's going to be the 5.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So Seattle will play the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
I guess,
Again, yeah. And we don't know what Jared Goff's status for that game is, but I don't know if Jared Goff being there is a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's more about Cooper Kupp whether he'll be there.
They have 3 guys coming back. I thought this kid had never played a game before. Looked pretty damn good today.
Yeah.
He didn't make any mistakes. He played within his. He played, listened to what he's supposed to do, and he did. But I'm going to go. I'll go Seattle winning that game. I'll go Tampa beating Washington, even without Evans, who's probably going to be out.
Yeah. That's a big loss for them.
Brown had a good game.
Yeah.
He had 2 touchdowns, like 130 yards. So they're so deep and so stocked. I mean, he's just going to step up in that role. But he's not that big physical target that Brady likes, so we'll have to see.
No.
What Brady's used to.
Well, Brady also likes the little guys like Welker and Edelman.
So
I would say this.
Tampa Bay wins that. I think Seattle wins their game. And I think the Saints win their game.
I'd have to agree with all those. I don't think Antonio Brown, he doesn't look quite the same.
No, but he's gotten better each week now that he's been back.
He has. I just don't know if he's, he's full. Like, this was as close as he looked to full on Antonio Brown this week.
Yeah.
But having him as your third receiver when you put out 3 receivers with Godwin and Edwin, it's just, terrifying. Whereas if you get just the 2. But having to play the Redskins, I don't think is going to be that big of a thing.
And I don't care. I think Chase Young could make Brady's day miserable.
He could. But I think Tampa Bay's defense is good enough that, as much as I like Gibson and McLaurin, I think the Washington professional football team is not quite there. I think, they want to win in 6 games, 7 games and make the playoffs. So, I think that tells you what kind of quality team is getting in.
Well, then the next week, I don't care who Green Bay plays. They're going to play in Green Bay. I'm going to pick Green Bay.
Yeah, I think it's hard to argue at this point that Aaron Rodgers is not the MVP. I realize the Chiefs are the number 1 seed. They've only lost 1 game. And Mahomes has put up some absolutely incredible stats. But so has Rodgers. And, by the numbers, they're very close. But I just feel like Aaron Rodgers has really just brought it this year in a whole different way. And I don't think that's me being bored like with Jordan and different guys winning MVPs in the NBA back in the day. I just think that Rodgers really earned it this year.
And I think I'm going to have to beg off picking the other games because I can't. I mean, I picked the Saints to win the first game, but I don't know what I'm going to do the second game if Kamar's not playing or where the situation is.
Yeah.
So, they play the running back today.
Although they have the luxury of Ty Montgomery as their slot receiver, and he obviously started adding in Green Bay as a running back, so he filled in quite nicely. And I think Kamar, hopefully he just, he's got whatever the false positive, he's back. But I think we're getting a Green Bay Buffalo Super Bowl.
We could. And the ironic thing is it's in Tampa. 2 bad weather teams playing in a great weather city.
But they're 2 teams that have a lot of offense, so that's fine with me. Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, 2 of the best receivers in football. Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers. That's a game to get excited for.
It could be a really good Super Bowl. And, I really thought the Steelers could get there this year, but there's too many injuries. You can't be playing your 3rd and 4th linebackers.
No, I think if Devin Bush stays healthy, I think if Bud Dupree stays healthy, then your defense is scary good, which they're already phenomenal now. They played without Watt and Hayward today, and they were still really good against the Browns.
Had 4 sacks today, so they kept their streak going at 73 games in a row now.
Yeah. But, we both thought the running game would come along a little bit, and, this could be our Steeler 30 seconds or 30 minutes, whatever we want to call it, but they've been such a weird team this year. They haven't really blown anybody out, but sometimes their passing game looks on par with anybody's offense at moments.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with...
But they have to be able to hit a pass of more than 20 yards.
They do.
If they don't, you're playing against 10 guys in blocks. And if you're not going to beat them deep, you can't win. There's no way.
No, and they can't drop the ball like they've been doing. They've led the league in drops. And I think they've also led the league in almost catches where they don't count as official drops. But there's a 2 or 3 plays a game where, whether it's on a pass interference call or something where the guy still could have made the play and just hasn't made that play. So despite all the receiving talent, we got to see it all come together. But and maybe they've been saving stuff up on you.
Back to college football for a minute.
Okay.
We had another big time firing in Texas.
Yeah.
You fired the coach Herman, and you still owe him $15 million. Okay, probably just get done paying off Charlie Strong, and I mean that's got to be the worst job in the world because you got so many bosses with the boosters and the high school football coaches in Texas and all these people, and there's no way you can keep them happy, and there's no way they ever give you enough patience to turn it around.
No.
And I mean, they're going to have some occasion as the Alabama offensive coordinator, head coach. But if you're a great quarterback coming out, are you going to decide you're going to go to Texas? If it's between Texas and Alabama, are you going to choose Texas over Alabama?
No.
I'm not. I'm going to go to Alabama because I know that the main guy is the main guy. And that's why they win all the time. But I just think you laid off 30 people in the athletic department. You cut salaries, you furloughed people, and now you're going to pay $15 million to a guy not the coach, and then pay another ridiculous amount of a guy coming in. It's just out of control.
It is.
It's a bad situation, and I honestly don't think, Jason. I think if we sit down 3 years from now on this show, they're not going to be any better than they were now.
No, and I think Texas is a little bit in that Notre Dame area where
they were great, and they're not great anymore.
No, and I think they're the only ones that don't know that.
Yeah, them and all the other people live in Texas, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, you could argue even if you decide you want to play in that conference, I got Oklahoma, I got Oklahoma State, I got Texas Tech. I mean, I've got other places to go where I've got other guys have been more successful getting into the pros as quarterback than getting to Texas.
Yeah. And if you're coaching, you go 9-2 at Oklahoma State, you're gonna be there forever.
Yeah, and you got amazing facilities.
9-2 at Texas, you're gonna be there till your contract runs out, and you can be somewhere else.
If you last that long, yeah.
Crazy stuff. Really crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you can't feel too bad. The guy is walking away with $15 million, and I'm sure he could pick up somewhere else and, go run a program somewhere else. But it's still a bummer for that guy in Texas.
Hey, how many catches do you think Antonio Brown's had this year?
41.
45, which gave him a $250,000 bonus.
Good for him. Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is why you signed him in case something happened. And something happened, and now he's back, and he's playing good, and,
Well, I also want to stay on the pro thing again. I know we keep bouncing back and forth, but, we don't script our show. We talk about things that are important to us. The whole seeding in the NFL, they've got to go the route of the NBA. You can't, if somebody wins the division and has a losing record, you can't knock out a team like the Dolphins that has 10 wins. It's not right. And I think what you have to do is you have to say there's going to be 7 positions in the AFC and 7 positions in the NFC. And that's whatever division they're in, we're not going to care. We don't care about that. Because not only did you get in with 7 wins if you're the Eagles, you got a home game.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
And it happens
so
every couple of years.
You just have to retool and think about things a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Change is good. I mean, sometimes you need to make a change that is going to be a good change. So.
Well, moving forward, do you like the only one team gets a bye in each conference?
Yeah.
It does make. I mean, it keeps it keeps the incentives alive. I mean, without that, the Steelers are. If there's 2 byes, Steelers are playing Roethlisberger today for sure. So. Yeah, it's tough.
And I'm okay with the way things worked out with the 1 bye and he's going to play off. think it should be it should be the 14 best teams in the playing right now. And I'm not saying Washington's not one of the best 14 teams. Maybe they are. Maybe it just took them a long time to get started. They're playing really well right now.
Yeah.
But I think Miami with 10 wins, but they don't get in, and somebody has 7 wins gets in. I don't think it's right.
No, and speaking of Miami,
But my system that I want wouldn't change that because Miami would be 8th, and the other teams before them would all have good records.
yeah.
So they're not in the NFC, so it really doesn't affect it. But it just comes to my attention that we need to start thinking about that because it's going to happen again.
Now, if you are, this was just little, since you brought up Miami, a team that just missed the playoffs, you spent the number 5 pick overall on Tua, who showed a couple of flashes here and there, but, he's really well thought of. He's still come back from the injury. Do you bring back Fitzpatrick next year? Or do you want to pull him out of the way and make sure that the road is clear for Tua and there's nobody screaming for Fitzpatrick from week 1 in the stands, assuming there's fans there?
I'm probably going to lean toward that, Chase, just because if he's there, he's a big shadow. He's the closer out of the bullpen. Yeah, I'm probably going to say no. You gotta commit and be committed and just go with it, and know that there's still going to be some learning to go with it. But it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I think Fitzpatrick would be a nice bridge quarterback for some team. I mean, you look at some of the guys coming out this year that look like they're a little bit more, not Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields or probably Mac Jones, but, maybe a Trey Lance or one of these other guys. You want to get him in your system and have him out for a year. But, yeah, I don't think you want Fitzpatrick if you're the Dolphins. I just think that, he's so beloved in Miami right now. And I think, with Tua, I think Tua's mentally strong enough, but I just don't think you want your fan base, with Fitzpatrick sitting there if Tua struggles on week 1 or struggles on week 2. So, we had no big NBA news for the most part. A few injuries here and there.
Some interesting things. I mean, I like what I think the World is 4-2. I like what I'm seeing there. Toronto's not playing up to snuff, but it's still only 5 games in the season.
Yeah. I mean, the big elephant in the room is still Harden. Where will Harden go? Apparently, Milwaukee, consulted Giannis, and Giannis didn't want him. Whether or not Brooklyn would want him or not, it sounds like, with D'Antoni being his former coach, if Brooklyn really want him, they've got plenty of incentive to go, like, if D'Antoni was like, yeah, this is the guy that's going to change our team. And it sounds like from, and who knows what NBA rumors are true, but he's not that keen on bringing him in. It's just interesting, because we talked about him on the floor. Like, as great as he is, he doesn't seem to get along super well with his teammates, and he seems to be kind of hard to play with. So, now if he was a Knick and he could just win 40 games a year, get him in the playoffs, that would be fun for Knicks fans, obviously. But, as far as fitting into a system, it's hard to say. Well, I sadly have had 0 food moments in the last week worth talking about.
I had a food moment, believe it or not.
Okay.
So I went out to breakfast the other day, and I didn't know it was a national chain, but it's a national chain called the Maple Street Biscuit Company.
Okay.
And I went for breakfast, and I had the 5 and dime. And the 5 and dime is a biscuit with a chicken breast, pecan smoked bacon, a slice of cheddar cheese, topped with sausage gravy.
Okay.
And I posted a picture of it on Twitter, and I will tell you, it was outstanding. And I'll also tell you that every one of the flavors that I mentioned stood up. You could taste the bacon, you could taste the cheddar, you could taste the chicken, and you could taste the gravy.
Huh.
In fact, what I would say was the weakest part was the biscuit. Because I've had much better biscuits.
Huh?
But this whole assembly for $10, that was a home run.
Maple Street Biscuit Company. Okay. I did have an entertainment moment. Have you watched any of Cobra Kai, season 1 or 2?
I have not watched any of it.
Well, we binged season 3, which just came out on January 1st. And it's a really fun, compelling show. And they've done a really nice job of, a movie I didn't think was that great, but of, integrating people back in from the old franchise and sort of, making the characters interesting. You can tell that the people that created this show love the Karate Kid, like desperately love the Karate Kid. And, it's just been a really, and they've swerved a few times when you thought, zig when you thought they were going to zag, and Johnny Lawrence and Ralph Macchio, or I guess Billy Zapka, I should call him by his real name. They've both been, just doing really nice jobs in it. It's a really, really nice show. And I think it's a good family show. And I was never a big Karate Kid fan of any of the iterations of Karate Kid, but I really like Cobra Kai, the show. So if that's, if you were hesitant because you weren't a big Karate Kid person, I think there's something to be, like. Yeah. And that, of course, is on Netflix.
I would say that I'm ecstatic about Your Honor on Showtime still. I think tonight is episode 5, and it's been really, really good every week. Real deep story, lots of tentacles out everywhere that make sense. No filler episodes. I'm getting my seat every time I watch it, so I'm all over that. And I wanted to alert our viewers to something that's coming up on January the 15th on Amazon Prime. There's a show called One Night in Miami, and it's based in fact that One Night in Miami, Jim Brown, Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, singer, and Muhammad Ali all got together. Now, nobody knows what happened, but this is a fictionalized account of a historical activity that did happen. So I'm not going to miss that. I'm excited about that. That's on January the 15th. You have Amazon Prime. It's free.
Okay.
And I'm sure it's just a one-off. It's a movie, a one-time thing. So, but I would watch that for sure.
Well, Adam Gase got fired just seconds ago.
Yep. Took a few hours longer than I thought it would.
And there is some speculation, a real quick shout out to a player that, nearly gave us a heart attack in Tampa at the Super Bowl, but it looks like Larry Fitzgerald might be retiring from football.
Yeah, I could see that.
Nothing official. It just, there's some, it looks like that might be the tea leaves, what are you going to say? And he was, I know he made a Super Bowl and obviously played great in that Super Bowl, and he had Kurt Warner for a little while, but it's hard to imagine what that guy would have done if he had, if you put him with a great quarterback his whole career.
If you put him with a great quarterback his whole career, he would have had Jerry Rice numbers.
I think so.
He might have exceeded Jerry Rice numbers.
Yeah, because he still put up incredible numbers, but he played with some absolutely terrible quarterbacks through his career. No offense to those guys or their families, but in retrospect, we're talking just in terms of football, they were not good at their jobs. Like the John Skeltons and some of the other guys who played with Arizona. It's just a shame. But he seemed like a classy dude, great receiver, first ballot Hall of Famer. So if that is the end of his career, he was a great, great player. And I guess to end on, Happy New Year to everybody. We're coming up on episode 200, so we'd love to get some actual feedback from our fans in the audience. Tweet at my dad, that kind of stuff. So, yeah. And also, COVID did not end when the year turned over, so keep wearing your masks and stay safe.
Everybody, yeah. My big news is that my wife and I are going to get to sign up tomorrow for our COVID shot. We're going online tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. when we're allowed to go on. Who knows how soon we'll be able to get an appointment. But we are making progress, so we can at least talk about being able to get an appointment. So I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah. And until next week.